I started to see a pattern in strong women, determined women. And I realized there's a mindset thing here. Mm-hmm. So I thought, as a doula, this is the kind of work I want to be particularly working on, is the mindset to help these women feel empowered during the menopausal transition.
Welcome to the Radiant Mom Rising, the podcast that's all about celebrating and empowering the incredible hardworking mothers out there. I'm your host, Mary Dibble. I'm on a mission to equip you with the tools, strategies, and inspiration you need to conquer the challenges of motherhood and life, all while embracing your radiant self. Join us each week for amazing guest interviews, relatable stories, and a whole lot of fun. We're here to create a vibrant, supportive community where we can be our authentic selves, where no one feels alone, and where we uplift and cheer each other on along this incredible journey of motherhood. So, fellow Radiant Moms, get ready to rise, shine, and conquer the world. Let's grow together, laugh together, and make every week a celebration of the powerful, radiant moms we are. This is Radiant Mom Rising, and you're part of a community where your brilliance shines through. Are you ready to rise with us? Let's get started. Thank you for tuning in to the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I'm Mary Dibble, your host, and today I have a special guest, Miss Mary Lee. Mary's a retired veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, serving more of 24 years. As a PR practitioner since she took her retirement, Mary's worked in numerous industries, including healthcare, education, aviation, government, mining, bioinnovation, and life sciences. She has an insatiable appetite for knowledge, especially in health and wellness. In fact, Mary has pursued fitness and wellness as a side hustle for close to 30 years, leading fitness and yoga classes. In this field, she has been more exposed to women experiencing the same issue, perimenopause. The story is always the same: weight gain, sleeplessness, brain fog, hot flashes, and issues with digestion. It came to her that this is an area that sadly lacks information and support, that more resources are needed. Mary haphazardly came across the Menopause Doula certification course and promptly enrolled with Doula Canada. That was a year ago, and she has since enrolled in numerous other courses, including Menopause 2.0 with Dr. Stacy Sims. Motivated by her own negative encounter with the medical field's lack of knowledge and empathy for women's health issues, Mary had made it her mission to debunk the misunderstanding and mistrusts and mistruths about hormonal health. She truly wants to empower more women with current, accurate, and well-researched information about this natural and normal transition. Since then, she is now the owner of ML Coaching and host of her second podcast, All Things Menopausal. The first episode drops this October 2023 and will feature an array of guest experts from physical and mental health to emotional and spiritual wellness. This was a fun interview. I hope you all enjoyed the show.
Welcome to the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I'm your host, Mary Dibble. I have a very special guest today, Miss Mary Lee. She's a menopause doula and a mom of two, and I would love to have you listen to her and share her journey with you. Mary, how are you doing today?
I am doing so fantastic. I'm blessed to be part of your podcast, Mary. I feel like we're kindred spirits. Mary.
I know, right. Gotta have
two Marys.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being part of my show. And to get things kicked off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your life, your journey that's led you to becoming a menopause doula?
Wow, it's just a wild roller coaster, but yeah, brace yourself. Let's begin.
Let's do it.
So here I was, young 18-year-old, and I said, I want to be bold and daring. So I joined the Canadian Armed Forces right out of high school, right into military college. And that was in the late 80s. So it was all about women trying to prove themselves. And yeah, that took me to a 20-year career in the military. Loved it dearly. I got to see the world. In fact, as a PR practitioner in the military, it's called a public affairs officer. I literally cut my teeth in crisis communication with 9/11. I was in the command post for the Canadian sector for NORAD, so North American Radar Defense, and 9/11 happened, and we're all like, what is going on?
Oh God.
And so that was my real true experience with crisis communication, which has nothing to do with being a doula. So
Oh,
fast forward, I retired in 2007. I was set to go back to the Arabian Gulf for a second tour, and my daughter was only 4 at the time. And I thought, you know what? I've been spending a lot of time going to work early in the morning, late at night. I'm at 20 years. I'm going to take my retirement. And I promptly went right back to work in the military the next day as a reservist.
oh.
But you have more choice when you're in reserves. And then that just basically led one thing to another, opened up a PR firm, a public relations boutique firm, and worked with many companies in several sectors, from healthcare to education, aviation. I worked with philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and it was an amazing experience. All along, though, I've been doing a side hustle in fitness and wellness. I did back when it was typo, boom, boom,
Yeah, I
boom,
remember
and
that.
step training. Could you remember that?
Yeah.
And the step aerobics. Yeah. But I always loved it. And then in 2020, of course, we had COVID. It hit hard. I was enrolled to go in my Hatha Yoga, Hot 26 and 2 yoga teacher training in Australia. Well, that quickly came to a grinding halt. And they said, hey, we're pivoting. We're going online. Do you want to do your training online? So I said, well, yeah, sure, I'll do that. We were getting used to it in the workplace anyways. Everything was Zoom. So I did my yoga teacher training, which just furthered my thirst for knowledge on anatomy and understanding wellness from the still and moving meditation. And I just sort of started expanding. So my side hustle teaching from HIIT and bar classes went into yoga classes with the teacher training. And I did a couple, 2 or 3 styles of yoga. Then I met up with this wonderful woman by the name of Shelley, and she owns a yoga studio in our town. She opened it up in her home, beautiful space. And we found more and more women were coming to us, looking at us as role models, because as you teach yoga, you talk about a bit about the chakras and the endocrine system. And they were asking us about menopause. It was the conversation of the day. And our clientele was women about 30 to 55-ish. And that is right around the time that you're going to go through the perimenopause experience. And Shelley and I always talked about having a signature program for wellness. And we thought, well, if we're going to be supporting women who are going through menopause, we have to really get smart on menopause. It just so happened I came across an article on Vanity Fair about Menopause Doula. And it was all about women, especially high profile women who were kind of changing the narrative around menopause. And in the article, it mentioned Menopause Doula. Menopause Doula, what is that? So I Googled it. And sure enough, here in Canada, in Toronto, we have the Doula Training Center. It's mostly for birthing doulas, but they were offering a special on a menopause doula course. And I said to Shelley, hey, maybe we should enroll in this and get real wise about menopause. We were already talking about Ayurveda in our signature program, but we really wanted to hone in on understanding more about the hormones and more so natural remedies to help address some of those symptoms that we experience. So I went right into it, and I was amazed because I had the anatomy background already. And also as a public relations practitioner, science communication became my forte. And I love complicated technical information and then breaking it down into bite-sized chunks that the audience can understand and that it's relevant and it's real information. And that's exactly what I found with the doula course and understanding the hormones. I already had a real good understanding about the endocrine system, particularly as the chakra and energy centers that relates to each of the energy centers. And I started to see a correlation between understanding the hormones and what was happening with the body and things that we can do naturally in order to address those symptoms. And also I had an experience with it was a concussion, and I was hit in the region where my pituitary gland is. And I got really sick and strange symptoms thereafter. And what was happening was this pituitary gland was not sending the proper signals to the hypothalamus. So it was almost as if my body was going into an early stage menopausal, just the way the hormones were fluctuating in relation to the concussion. I thought that I was in perimenopause by this stage, and I was coming very close to 12 months without a menses. And then all of a sudden, it's like, it's back again. I'm like, well, gosh, darn it. It was probably a little bit more crude than that. But
Love it.
like, what the hell is going on with my body? So I was already on this track of this learning journey of what's going on with my body and understanding what is happening with the hypothalamus and how hormones send signals and what's the role of estrogen. And it just, I couldn't get enough information. The menopause doula just lined up perfectly, but I think I needed all those life experiences, that journey to land here. And also in 2020, I was literally like Mel Robbins, 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm having a podcast. So I launched a podcast in January 2020. And it was about mostly women. I did have some male guests. The entrepreneurial spirit. How do you pivot? How do you take something like the pandemic and still stay afloat in your business, still thrive? And I was talking to some amazing women. And because I'm a communicator, I like to get to the story, the backstory, because that's where the authenticity is. That's where we make those connections with other people, is their backstory. And they were telling me amazing stories about their upbringing and how those experiences helped them through COVID. And I started to see a pattern in strong women, determined women. And I realized there's a mindset thing here. So I thought, as a doula, this is the kind of work I want to be particularly working on, is the mindset to help these women feel empowered during the menopausal transition.
I love that.
So la voila.
Yep.
Here I am.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. I mean, it's my mom actually is going through this right now. And that is always the one thing that she struggles with the most is the hormone. She already deals with so much as it is in her life, but having that, I guess, imbalance or whatever it brings on for her, it brings her into such depressed states that she hates getting into, but she doesn't know what to do about it. Because, when it hits you, it just hits you. And she does struggle with that mindset issue, as well as the physical and emotional issues that come with it. So I think that's beautiful what you're doing, because even like myself, not all of us are as educated and understanding of what it all means and how it all comes together. And it's so wonderful having women out there who are willing to help guide you, who can share that knowledge and help them through that. What would you say that you would advise somebody who's going right now through either pre or post as far as dealing with the hormones and things like that?
So absolutely. Number one, it's the mindset thing. Realize that your symptoms are going to be very personal. But what you're experiencing is universal to all women, and that you're not alone. And the social construct around menopause has been caked in misogyny and ageism. And so, of course, we're already going in there with this fear mindset. We should be embracing it instead, saying, I'm going to go through this. How do I want to spend the rest of my life? Do I want a quality of life? And what can I do to change that? What can I do to empower myself? I say knowledge is power, and power is the difference between being told what to do by a doctor who may not have the training, the background for menopause and women's health in general, or you deciding for yourself by being able to make informed decisions about your health and your body. Number one is you're in the driver's seat. You have control. And so our role of a doula is to facilitate that process by curating information, by checking the latest research and making sure that's accurate and valid, and being able to provide that to women and say, okay, here's your symptoms. Here's a whole smorgasbord of options that you have available. Now you get to pick and choose, but don't do it blindly. Always understand that, if you're feeling these kind of emotions or these kind of symptoms, maybe hormone therapy is not right for you because you want to address, say, belly fat. But if you have vasomotor symptoms such as the hot flashes and night sweats, well, then hormone therapy can help you. So what I do is I start looking at all of the experts in the field within the community. And of course, we live beyond our own community. Everything is virtual and access to in the ether. So
Right.
say, you have a nutritionalist, seek the advice of a nutritionalist. Maybe you need to go see an endocrinologist, or perhaps you need to be speaking with your doctor about hormone therapy. And that's one thing about a doula, as we don't prescribe and we don't diagnose. We simply are there for emotional support, first and foremost, to listen, to be compassionate listeners. And then we start to map out based on their cycles, their monthly charting. We say, okay, I'm starting to recognize a pattern with sleeplessness or the hot flashes or the edginess. And then because we have a deeper dive into some of the areas of what the hormones can do, we can say, this is what's happening to your body. Now, here's where you go to get some expert advice on what to do. I want to be more than just that. I want to be able to provide some coaching because I have that fitness background and say, okay, first of all, as a science communicator background, I need to know the why. Okay, tell me why this is happening. And then I can start to understand it from a perspective of, okay, I now get a better understanding of what's happening within the body. And again, that's the knowledge I speak about. And then that gives me a sense of empowerment. It's like, I now know, like when I had the concussion, I now know why my body is going through this drastic change. Is because this happened to my body and now the hypothalamus can't get the right signals. So I started to map that back, in time. Okay, what's going on here? And so this is what I like to provide as my doula specialty, is that research background that I already have, and that's that thirst for science and science communication, and then be able to state or to provide that more information. That's why I too want to have a podcast and a blog too, is because I want to be able to explain it. This is what's happening to the body. It's like, I can't give you the medication or whatever you are seeking, such as hormone therapy, but what I can give you is the knowledge. So back to your original question is, women have to start first with the mind. Tell themselves, plant that thought in your head. You are completely in control. And what you're going through is completely normal. And in fact, it should be celebrated, because Ayurveda practitioners will tell you that the menopause transition, perimenopause transition, is entering into the age of wisdom. How beautiful is that? Like, you look at some of our Aboriginal or Indigenous communities, and those communities of women, like the elder women are revered. They're the knowledge keepers and the way makers for the next generation of women. So this is how we should be hailing, in North America. This is how we should be viewing ourselves. Hey, I have arrived.
Exactly.
And now I want to share my experience with you. So
that's amazing and so awesome, because I see with a lot of older women too, they always feel like, oh, I'm too old. It's too late for me to pursue other things in my life or to get a handle on things or even to change things at this point. And it's like, that's so untrue. It's such a limiting belief that they have that keeps them from sharing their awesome uniqueness with this world. Because you're right. The wisdom you gain, the experiences you have, they all work together to bring something beautiful that can help so many others who are on similar journeys that need to hear this and need you to show up for them. And that's what I'm all about. This is why I love to meet new women and hear about the ways that you're helping give back. And look at you, the military experience that led you, to that. And tell us a little bit too about your podcast. If you want to share that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. It's called All Things Menopausal. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no fooling what that subject's about, right?
No, right. I love it though. Exactly. And so what can some of your listeners expect from listening?
Okay. So it'll be predominantly dialogue with the experts in the field. And I will be bringing on nutritionists. I'll be bringing on spiritual development leaders. I will be bringing in wellness coaches. We're going to look at the menopause transition from a holistic approach.
Love it.
Big everything. If I could line up more episodes with an endocrinologist, I would be doing that. I want to have a weekly episode where people can tune in and listen to the experts in the field, just give, an hour, maybe 30 minutes of some really sage advice. Say, okay, this is what's happening. This is why, and this is what you can do about it. So again, women can check in and feel that weekly empowerment. Oh, right. They spoke about hot flashes this week, or they talked about how yoga can calm the sympathetic nervous system to allow the cortisol level to calm down, because cortisol level is rising. Hey, I didn't know that. And then there'll be episodes where it'll just be a monologue with me sharing some of the information and some of the studies that I've done as a menopause doula. The approach, though, it's always going to be spoken from the voice of them. This is what a menopause doula does for you. So we bring in the experts. We make references to experts in the field to get the diagnosis or the prescriptions for anything to help with their symptoms. But as the doula, we're doing all this in the background. So let me share that with you on my podcast. And I will hopefully have episodes whereby I can bring women in on a quick Q&A. So if I'm going to have a nutritionalist in there and I line up with somebody who wants questions about what should I be eating during menopause? Why is protein more important as I get older? And how many carbs should I be having in a daily, that sort of thing. Ask those kind of questions. And then I have what's going to be called epic minis, those little check-ins. Hey, I've got this great piece of advice. I'm going to spend, maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just a little shout out of a piece of information. So it's called All Things Menopausal. The trailer is already streaming on Spotify and Apple and Google and Amazon.
Okay, awesome.
And then in my trailer, I do say, it's a longer version of trailers. I know trailers should be short, but I had a whole lot to say.
Well, there's
so about 5 minutes. There's so much to say.
Right.
I can't cut it down to 1 minute. And then that trailer, I do say in the trailer that I'm dropping in December. Well, I have had so many women say, I can't wait till December. Can you come out sooner? So I have a whole lineup of about 8 tremendous women coming up from, I'm telling you, it's from the mind, body, and spirit. Seriously, there's somebody who's lined up in each of those areas, guest experts in the field, and I'll be interviewing them, and we're probably going to drop in October now. So almost 2 months earlier than what I said in my trailer, just because the enthusiasm is growing so quickly.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's, that's what I was actually talking about with another lady. It's like when you make that decision to go after your dreams and to do what you want and that you love, and you're really true to yourself, it's amazing the doors of opportunities that start opening. It's like, whoa, like I come into this thinking, okay, I'm going to just kind of test the waters, but then you fall in love with it. And then next thing you know, you're literally attracting all these amazing people, women, especially for me, that just support you, encourage, and love you. And that's so beautiful to see, because for so many of us we feel so alone. And I'm sure there's a lot of women out there who are dealing with the menopause who probably don't feel like they're allowed to talk about it. Maybe they don't have people who they can talk to about it. So what you're bringing is that permission for other women to start opening up and sharing and being vulnerable and allowing themselves to realize you are not alone. It's like you say, normal, something that we all are going through. We should all be embracing it, empowering ourselves and pushing through it and helping each other to find the positivity, to find the silver lining, to grow from it instead of letting it bring you down and make you feel fearful or negative. So
yeah, I'm so glad you said that, Mary. The permission, giving them the permission. And I think that's what the role of a doula is, more so, is that I'm giving you permission to talk about something, because in talking about it, we're sharing, and sharing builds community and connection. And it's that connection, it's that experience. I want women to have a positive experience going through menopause, because if you think about it, it's beyond just us. How we show up in the world every day with our coworkers, with, more importantly, our family, our children. They're looking to us. We're role models. They have eyes on us all the time. If I'm going to give in to the moodiness, am I going to keep having excuses? Oh, it's just the menopause, the change of life. what is the message I'm saying to the world? Well, for me, that message is I'm not in control anymore. There's things happening to my body, and it's an excuse to not do the hard work to get over it. Here's the military. You can take the girl out of the military, but you can't take the military out of the girl, right?
Love
It's
it.
like, here's a hill, get over it. It's like, no, it's more like, here's a hill, take the hill, but don't just take the hill. Take it with all the best tools in the toolbox, and know that your platoon or your team or your community of women have got your back. So I'm about empowering. Yes, I'm going to do this, because how I do that is going to be a message, is going to set the trend for my daughter and my stepdaughter. Like, I want them to see she did it. She handled it. She handled all those changes in life, and she did it with style. I don't want to fear getting old either. And that's the thing. We got to shatter that negative construct around ageism and misogyny of you're too old now. Oh, well, you're just a change of life. Well, just what, you send me out to pasture? No.
Right. But you're right, though. It's so funny because that's kind of like how it is for so many out there. And you mentioned your daughter and your stepdaughter. What are their ages?
So my daughter's 20.
Okay.
And my stepdaughter is 31. And here is two headstrong, brilliant, beautiful women, intelligent. My stepdaughter is a paramedic in the city of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And she's seen so much trauma, of course, in that role as a first responder. Hats off to her. I actually interviewed her on my previous podcast, and wow, what an amazing story. She's talking about COVID and responding to calls during COVID as a paramedic. Whoa. And then my daughter, she's 20 and she's going into her second year university. Psychology she's pursuing that. Although she loves the criminology and the forensic sciences and that, she's a determined young woman too. And here I see there's two powerful women, like reminding me of myself at that age. You don't want to see their fire burn out or them being crushed by the societal norms about how we view ageism and we transition. In fact, no, like Gen X women we're trailblazers, but we're kind of like, there's some trepidation with our blazing forward. Whereas the next generation, they're like, hell yeah, I'm just like plowing forward. So I kind of feel like, okay, as the elders, as the knowledge keepers and the way makers, we've got to lay that path for them. So that when they come through it, they're coming through as shining stars, sort of thing. So I just feel the stars have lined up naturally for me to fall into this role as a doula, because I have that headstrong background, all the things, like I said earlier, that journey that led me to this point. And I want to keep playing that role of mentor as well, but with a compassionate heart.
Absolutely.
As a doula, rule number one is we show up where you're at. We show up where the client is at. And then we listen. Yeah.
And then you guide them and help them figure it out for themselves, but with love, like you say, and that support. And it's so beautiful. It's so needed. And I think it's great what you do. And it sounds like you have two amazing daughters out there. And that's something that I think is so important. Like you pointed out, we pave the path for our children who are going to be that next generation of adults and business people or whatever they long for. And that's why it's so crucial to be that example and to show them like the importance of going after your dreams and of fulfilling your needs and having that self-care, instead of them seeing you all constantly sacrificing to the point where they're like, okay, I guess then my needs aren't important, or I'm not allowed to dream or big or whatever. And that's kind of what's motivated me as a mom to go after it, because I have learned to believe in myself, and I've realized like the influence that I have on my children, and I want them to grow up headstrong and confident and believe in themselves and go after whatever their hearts desire. And it's wonderful. I think that's so great what you're doing, and it's obviously evident, and I wish you all the best with that. And I encourage listeners to go out there and check you out. And I will share it, of course, within the notes of the episode, but what is ways for people to find you?
Yeah. So my website is ML Coaching, YML. It's the phonics spelling of my name, Mary Lee, my initials. But here's another little twist on it. M. So EMME is a Hebrew term. Sorry, it is a German term meaning universal. And L is Hebrew and Greek, ELLE, for feminine, universal feminine. What could be more universally feminine than menopause?
Right.
Right?
That's
So
perfect.
it's ML coaching, EMM, coaching. So mlcoaching.com. That's my website. And the podcast is All Things Menopausal. So not menopause, but menopausal. And it's on Spotify and on Apple as well. And I also have, if you go to my website, you'll also find a link to my Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. It's called Personal Universal, Empowering Women Through the Menopause. I really am encouraging women to go there because I want to have more of a discussion around menopause. People who feel strong and empowered and just ask their questions, because as a doula who's finishing off my client practicum, the more information I'm getting from real cases, the more I understand of where some of the need is, and I can go out there and get that information. So it's actually helped building my business as well. So the Facebook group. And then I'm on Instagram, M_L_coaching. So those are 3 areas where you can find me. And I
Perfect.
would love for people to listen, to join, to ask questions, and feel encouraged and empowered. And don't be afraid to have those conversations. Don't be like our parents and our parents' parents, the silent generation.
I know exactly. And that's something we didn't really reflect on, but that goes again with how, as a parent, you pave the path. And as women, we were not, I know my mom for sure. She's from Trinidad, and growing up, it's amazing how she turned out with the background she's got. So I can only imagine even earlier generations where we weren't as powerful as women as we are today, or as open as we are, and how that affected things. And it not allowed us to, like you say, have that permission to just to talk about things that only we experience, that we think maybe we feel like it's just us, but it's not. There's so many of us going through the same things. And this is why this is so awesome to get together and to have that discussion and share and understanding with each other. It's amazing. So,
It truly is. Yeah.
it truly
It
is.
truly
And
is.
is there anything else you want to share about yourself or your journey?
Well, I would say in general, if any of your listeners are out there and they're experiencing the menopause transition, or they think they are, and they're not too sure what's going on, please, please always consult with your doctor, talk with your doctor. Now, remember, not all doctors are going to have that deeper dive background into women's health, but don't hide it inside, and don't be afraid or feel ashamed, but then don't take no for an answer. Don't be told what to do. Stand up, share your voice, speak out. Case in point, if they tell you, okay, for example, you're going into insulin resistance and you need to take some cholesterol medication, and you'll be on that medication for the rest of your life. So hang on and understand there's a reason why those things are happening with the body, particularly through peri to postmenopause. So go and get that information. Go and ask those questions. Seek a doula. Seek me.
Yes.
And don't be afraid, because there's no shame in what's happening. It's happening for a reason, and it has to do with the hormones. And the hormones are actually telling us something. They're sending us a message. We need to listen, but we need to do some investigating. So again, like I said earlier, knowledge is power, and power is the difference between being told what to do and you deciding for yourself. So get informed, get educated.
Yes. Because I think that is something I see so much too. People they just believe what they hear. They don't take the time to look things up themselves, research the whole story. They just believe what they're told. And you're right, get stuck on these medications that really maybe they don't actually need, or, even if they do, there might be another way. I love that holistic view, because it does help you to embrace other natural ways to take care of yourself instead of relying always on medicine, the doctors and the pharmaceuticals who are all about making money. So it's so important, regardless, even outside of that, just always researching. Don't just always go with what somebody tells you. Look into it yourself. Take that time, because your body, your life, it matters. And at the end of the day, what you do to it now affects your later. So take that time. It's worth it. Definitely come see Mary Lee. She'll guide you on that right path.
Yeah. And I have a blog, and I'm getting more and more stories up, and I will always put my references from, say, PMed or other National Institute of Healthcare, any journals I quote, I will always add them in my blog notes. So it's not as if I'm giving random information. It's actually backed by science.
Awesome. That's great. And like I said, definitely check her out. Again, thank you so much, Mary, for being part of my show. I look forward to seeing all that you share and how you grow. I hope you come back and give us an update, down the line.
I love that.
Know how things are going. Yes, you seem amazing. So again, thank you for joining me today. And I hope you have a wonderful day and wish you all the best.
I wish you the very best too. I can't wait, and tell your listeners that brace themselves. They're in for some empowerment, and I'll have you on my show to talk about what you do too, Mary. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. I hope you all enjoyed that. I just loved having Mary on the show. Here are some key takeaways from today's episode. Embrace diverse career experiences and don't be afraid to pursue new passions, even if it involves a significant shift. Advocate for your health and seek knowledge when dealing with life changes like menopause. Consider holistic approaches alongside medical interventions for a more positive experience. Challenge societal stereotypes around aging and empower yourself to navigate major life transitions. Focus on mindset and empowerment when facing the challenges of menopause or other significant changes. You can visit Mary at mlcoaching.com and subscribe to her podcast, All Things Menopausal, for more information and support related to menopause. Links will also be provided below. Finally, subscribe to my show and leave a review and tell me what you want to hear or share your story for a chance to be on an upcoming episode. Also, if you want to learn more about how we can work together and how I can support you on your journey, visit me at marydibblecoaching.com. Let us all continue to love and support one another on our incredible journeys. Much love.